here he is, the Gaffer's new signing, Mr. Peter Barnes. So what's it like to be back with the Gaffer? You haven't played for Villa, have you?
Hello, Brian.
That must be one of the only few clubs he hasn't played for.
He's a lot slimmer now.
It's a no comment, but he was signed for 25 grand. Here we have another 25 grand signing. Here he is. What's that? Sorry?
You missed it.
What's it like?
Hey, if you don't get yourself fit, son, that could be a permanent job for you.
What's wrong with you?
Calves. Just had a kick in the calf this morning.
Have you got goalitis?
Yeah.
Scoring too many?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not yours.
Something I had to give.
Yeah, but you gave the wrong thing, didn't you? Where's he gone? No, Pete! Come back! All's forgiven! Hugo! The Gaffer said you played quite well last night. In the 95th minute. Oh, he's in a silent mode. He was in Liberties last night, you can tell. Look at him. Yes. He was dancing. Yes, he's got a bad ankle, that's right. Oh, cameraman. Have you met Peter? Get Peter in focus. How long did you sign? 4 or 5 year contract?
Richardson got to it, McGrath! Oh. He's not the only one who puts his head in his hands. It's his pass now for Parker, and Aston Villa have the lead. Gary Parker with a shot of precision to send the champions behind on their own patch.
Well, that's a great goal, right from see the build-up, but look at Ray Houghton's patience. Picks the right pass. The first touch is crucial. That's what creates a chance for him, and he buries it.
Close to the ball. Staunton. Oh, and Saunders. Lukic left it. McAllister. Cantona. McAllister. Atkinson. Oh, wonderful play from him. The flag is up, the flag is up. Froggatt drives it in. It might have gone over the line. It is from Saunders. And Joe Worrell hadn't instantly appreciated.
George Gavin.
Yes, George Gavin at the sports desk. Sport on BRMB FM with the latest on Dino. It's been on, it's been off, now it's very definitely on again, with Big Ron doing a superb job on persuading Dino to sign. He will score plenty of goals for Aston Villa. He's the final piece in the jigsaw, and Doug Ellis screwing the best deal possible out of Liverpool. The Leeds game then against the champions at Ellen Road on Sunday. Will Dino be playing? We certainly hope so. Dino!
Well, in the end, it's the chairman and board's decision on all purchases and all sales. Every manager in the country applies the same procedure as far as I know. Certainly in the case of the half-dozen managers I've had, they do what they can to investigate the availability of a player, and secondly what the price of the player would be and what the existing contractual terms of the player are.
Well, I mean, you make inquiries, you obviously have certain people in your mind. Now, with Dean Sanders, I mean, I've always been a big admirer of him. And at the end of last season, we made an inquiry. We'd heard things that maybe Graham Souness was thinking of changing things around, wanted money in. We felt that we needed a striker and a right-sided midfield player. The best striker that might possibly have been available, we thought, was Ray Houghton, so we made overtures for him and Dean Sanders at the same time. Now, at that particular moment, Graham Souness was prepared to let Ray Houghton go, with the suggestion that maybe Dean Sanders might follow suit. And then when the time was right, then we had to put everything together and try and bring him in.
Ron came to me with two players. Dean Saunders was one, and he told me that he'd investigated via the manager of the other. In this case, it was Liverpool, and that the figure that they were asking was such and such a figure.
By and large, he would know that the avenues, particularly at that level, the avenues that were going down. But when it's all more or less agreed between the two managers, then you talk to either certain clubs like Liverpool have a chief executive, and I'll talk with the chairman and say that's the recommendation. Now let's get the money together and let's get the fella.
He said that he felt he could probably reduce it by 100,000 or thereabouts, but would I be able to find him £2.5 million in effect? And I said no, I couldn't, because he knew the situation, as I always keep the manager informed on all the financial matters, and that there wasn't another £2.5 million in the kitty. Ron came back to me, I think 20 later, and said that he had got a reduction subject to certain circumstances. And the eventual result is that we obtained something like 300,000 off the original figure. So it was quite a saving to Aston Villa to wait the 12 days, despite all the criticism I received from the press and the media in general and the public.
Then I have to draw up the transfer forms, the player's contract, which is sometimes quite an intricate document. That can take a couple of hours to draw up. Having got everything drawn up, it's either faxed to my counterpart at the other club for him to sign and send back, or if there's no rush, then of course it can be posted. In the meantime, of course, the player signs a contract, and it's sent off to the Premier League these days.
I mean, he's a sort of player that loves scoring goals. I mean, that's his lifeblood. Now, if you look at certain clubs, there's always a position or a player that's like Liverpool. It's the number 7, although he wore that a fair bit this season. The Keegans, the Dalglishs. But I've always thought at Aston Villa, it's the number 9. If you go through us, my old man still talks about Pongo Waring. I can remember sort of the likes of Trevor Ford, Jerry Hitchens, and latterly Andy Gray and Peter With, of course. So I've told him he's going to wear the number 9 shirt, and his job at this club is to score goals.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing for Aston Villa now. It's a great club, great manager, and I've always enjoyed playing at Villa Park, and I think the team's good enough to win some trophies.
decided to be Albion again.
He's injured. This is a new signing, Gaffer. Yeah, you sure? I've had him. I've had him before. Never again. I know you said we got no money, but I didn't know you was that hard.
Thanks, Brian.
Barnes. You keeping that in there now, Jim, or what?
Yeah, I think it'd be alright there, Bruce, wouldn't it? It's funny how we
That in my office.
never had a running machine that I like killing again, did we?
This is where you like Barnes.
It's the gymnasium.
No, this is the canteen. The gymnasium. That's what made you an England player, Barnes.
Weights,
Yeah.
treadmills.
My turn next. Telephones. Traffic lights. Hey, it's all right, Anna.
Correct. Beautiful.
How we going?
We never had any of that in my day, did we? All them new machines.
You had a collar that we know wheels. you and Gary Owen.
That's true. It was an Albion supporter who pinched him as well.
It was an Albion director. Here's the Andy Gray room. Used to be called the boot room. We've seen it all.
How long has the Villa used this complex? How long?
Had it for a long time. Had it for a long time, haven't it? Yeah. But it's all been refurbished this year. Really, sure is. Hiya, Bambi. Hiya, how you doing? Hey. Yeah. We're the senior pros dressing room. Right now.
There's some first division changing rooms, isn't there?
Not bad, huh? Senior pros. That's the only cup we got. And there's the grub house. Those are the boys. These are the boys at the grub. You know, pastas and whatever.
It's the best training ground I've ever seen.
Well, every morning I get up about 9:15, get ready for training. Of course, just have a bit of breakfast, of a couple of toast and tea and all that. Then I come in. You normally in training start between 10 and half 10. You're normally supposed to arrive at the ground for 10 o'clock, and then get ready for half 10 to be out on the pitch and get ready for your training. Normally, Roger Spry, the fitness coach, he takes the warm-up and take us through a routine every morning that we have to do and get the muscle warmed up before we go into actually practice with the manager and Dave Sexton. After doing that, of course, Dave is already marked out or planned out what he's going to do with the players throughout the day, and then we probably play a bit of five-a-side. Looking back, what we done this afternoon is that with Dave, we play a lot of keep ball first, of course, just to keep you warm and get the adrenaline flowing. You know, sort of five-a-side, but just keeping the ball as much as possible. And from that, you know, as you get the muscle warmed up and everything, you feel a bit bubbly and everything after that. Then Dave has set out his routine for us to go through. And then what he does is it's just a routine between three players. You play and move, and you interchange all the time. And then, you know, you sort of end up with a shot and goal. Where they go, you try and work the goalkeeper then. And you vary it. You try to do different things. You try to trip the keeper. You try to go around the keeper by dribbling the keeper and all that. And of course, you know, as I said, he just vary it and make you be aware of different things to do. And obviously, that will come instinctively in a game. But after that, then the gaffer will decide, well, okay, let's have a bit of a five-a-side, and we play sort of two goals, you know, probably 8-a-side on both sides. And then we play for about 20 minutes, probably 10 minutes each way. And we might play 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, and sort of all in which you keep the ball as long as possible. And then after that, in the end, before the gaffer calls the session off, he does a bit of crossing and finishing where players have to get on the end of things and make run into the box to score goals. And, you know, basically that's what the training is based on. Well, after you finish training, you normally comes in, you have an option at your own free will if you want to go in and do extras in the gym. whether it's buddies or a bit of weights or something like that. But after that, you normally have to go and have a shower first and put your gear on and everything. And then you go in something to eat. Of course, you know, Shirley and Annette, who's been really good to the players all the time and prepare us with a lot of pasta, and they got different dish prepared for us throughout the week.
Well, I arrive at 8 o'clock, first one here, switch the alarms off, 9 times out of 10 I do. Come in the kitchen, lights are on, ovens are all kicked up, and then we begin work. Jackets are put in, jacket potatoes, I should say. And then it's preparing all the food for sometimes coming in at 11:30. And it all has to be ready for them. Well, it's pasta, fish, chicken, variety of pasta. The best favourite is lasagna here. Spaghetti bolognese, I mean that is every day. I like that on. Stefan, he's spaghetti bolognese every day. He just comes in and he brings his right money. Spaghetti bolognese, 2 toast and 1 orange juice, and that's all he's ever done since he's been here. And he gets quite upset if the spaghetti bolognese is not. Hugo, he loves lasagna, but he doesn't like the cheese sauce on the top, so we have to scrape the cheese sauce off just for him. He's very fussy, he likes all his fruit washed. Very fussy person, Hugo is, but he's a very nice guy as well. Ray Houghton is very easy pleasing. He's anything he will have. Dean Saunders, he likes his spaghetti bolognese. He's had that every day since he's been here as well. He likes that. Very nice person.
Thank you. It's always a bit difficult when you come in and you have to go past the manager's office, and if you do have a bit of a nightmare, you can always sort of call you into his office and say something to you. But apart from that, all the guys look forward to after training of going into the canteen and having a bit of a chat about the training session, or you just having a laugh among the players, which generates a good atmosphere among the players. So eventually you can take that sort of feeling out in the pitch and sort of unite the player together, which helps the team a lot to perform on the day.
That's it, yes, Martin. 1-2 off me. Good lad, yes, good. Well done, Joel. Good, little 1-2.
I've got to look at the thing optimistically. If I'm pessimistic about it as a developer of young players, well then really it's a waste of time me being in the job. I've got to always be optimistic about the thing, and we'll come up with something, and there will be young players, and their enthusiasm is encouraged and enhanced by the attitude of the people taking them. So as well as the facilities at a club, I think that the personnel are important, and I think that if we've got the right person dealing with young players, they will want to come to the club. They're comfortable with the people that are working with them, and they're comfortable in the facilities here, and that will only argue well for the future, of course.
Basically, we'd meet here normally. Sometimes meet at Villa Park, but normally we meet here. We find it easier to travel from here. We would meet here at Bodymoor. We'd get on the coach. We usually give ourselves 2 or 3 hours to get wherever we're going, so there's plenty of time. Get on the coach. There's always fruit, soft drinks on the coach before the game. The lads invariably watch a video. There's one card game goes on, which is same 4 players playing all the time, which is Teely, Yorkie, Gary Parker and Macca.
What's the chances this is straight out the house, straight out the front? Oh, it's ringing.
Me and my favourite man. My favourite man. Me and Daddy.
Over 200 league games. That's why it's important. Very good players like you to make sure that dumb ones like you don't exist.
There's nothing else. Well, there's money and there's football. What's your line?
Oh yes, my girlfriend. What's my girlfriend doing in there? What's going on? What? I didn't know you did this, love. My kind of woman.
Did you ask your
boy.
permission, Dee?
That's my bird. That's my baby.
Once we get to the hotel, we'll have already booked a meal, we'll have already booked the rooms. So it's just a case of going in, making sure the lads have got the rooms allocated, the keys, and off they go. Now, I mean, we've got it now that most people will have got partners who would have, because we've had a fairly settled team, they normally keep with the same people all the time now. So it's Kevin Richardson will go with Gary Parker, Steve Staunton goes with Ray Houghton.
I think the Liverpool days when me and Steve were there, we actually shared then, and it was just an automatic thing for me to share with Steve, but disappointed in him at the moment because he's not fitted into my requirements. Whereas at Liverpool, when he was a bit younger, he used to run around after me and make the tea and that when we arrived at the hotel. He's stopped doing that now. So he's obviously he's grown up a little bit more and realised he doesn't have to do it so often now.
So I came before Gary, then Gary was after me, so I was stuck with Gary Parker, and I've been stuck with him ever since. Disgusting habits, snores, does nothing easy, but I've got to put up with him.
And he's the worst man to share a room with. He brings one pair of pants and one pair of socks, and they last him for 2 or 3 days. Could have been worse, I could have had Paul McGrath, but there you go.
Dalian now goes with Dean Saunders. And I think Dalian just sits there in awe and listens to all of Dean's stories.
See that bit there? Slots right in there. My bad Achilles.
Bad Achilles, have you? I've got a terrible Achilles knee. See that bit there? Terrible Achilles knee. Achilles is a joke. No, joke. See that there? Bicep. That's what I use to get rid of all the defenders like this. I just go, oh, my shoulder. Oh. Big arms like this, big shoulders, big arms. I'm ready. Like Frank, you know what I mean, Harry? Just like Frank.
Same for me, really.
Right, we're going to go for food now. Have some food.
Yeah, I'm going to have some food. Come back. Okay, well, tell Graham Taylor that I'm Welsh. I can't play.
Look, Dougie, Dougie, Dougie. Come on, son. I've got to get to the table before him because this man will eat everything. He will eat the place out.
They'll know exactly when dinner is, which is normally if we're going on a Friday night. They will get down for dinner. Always a set meal, invariably soup, and then a pasta with chicken or fish, and a fruit salad usually to finish. And then
you know, everybody's got a little bit of a nickname, and it's good fun. I've been called Stan from my earlier days, and it's stuck ever since. But some of the boys, some of them have changed over the last few weeks in particular. 2 weeks ago, the gaffer had a little bit of a go at a couple of the boys, and he called them the Trotters, Del Boy and Rodney. Del Boy being Ray Houghton and Parksy being the other boy, Rodney. Earl Barrett, we called him Flip Flop when he first came, because the boys from Oldham told us about him slipping all the time. He used to wear a short stud or something, so we got a flip flop and put some studs on it, and that stuck for a bit. Dwight would be Yorkie, Dalian Atkins. There's a few names going around about him. D is the main one, I suppose. Sean Teal, Tealy obviously, or Clubfoot, that gets a mention now and again for his wild wellying off the ball, shall we say. Froggy, that would be his nickname, we just call him Froggy. Spinksy, as it would be called, Spinksy. Macca, or Ooh-Ah. Ooh-Ah, Paul McGrath, from his famous song. The skipper be Richo. And then Dean Saunders, Dino.
Frank Sinatra sent you up here. Frank Sinatra sent you up here looking for us.
You should get this on camera, right? This music, because people don't...
Hello?
I didn't hear it ring.
Reception. Listen, don't look now, but Frank Sinatra's probably sitting across on the settee opposite you. Can you just go over to him and tell him, just ask him if he's looking for Mr. Saunders and Atkinson, and tell him that we're not staying here. Yeah. Whatever you do, don't let Frank know we're here. It's the last thing we want. You only come up to our room and start singing all sorts of flipping.
I'm friends with Michelle Daly because my sons go to the same school, so I see her every day. Carol Teal with her two boys are the same age as Jake, and they play together. But it's hard. There was a lot of us all started new last season, so we were all new together, which helps to break the ice and make your friends a lot easier. And a lot of the problems is getting babysitters really coinciding, so everybody can manage to have a night out together. But the lads have been talking about trying to organise something a bit more where we all go out together, kids and all. I used to be frightened living on my own, staying on my own when he was away Friday nights and that. But I suppose it depends where the club is as well. Villa isn't too bad because obviously being in the Midlands, it's quite easy to travel to most places. And then of course when we lived in Spain for the year, I was used to be in 3 days on my own, 3 nights, which was horrible. And I hated that, but at least if I could stay there on my own, I can stay anywhere on my own, you know. But now with the kids, I'm kept that busy, it doesn't matter. I usually fall unconscious into bed at about 10 o'clock.
You know, they say if you're a professional footballer, don't buy fitted carpets. I mean, is being transferred part of being...
Yeah, I'm used to it. We nicknamed ourselves Gypsy Rose Lakes. And as I said when he finishes in football, should set up in business of helping people move quickly. We used to live now at T-Chests, but you know what you're getting into if you marry a footballer. So there's no point whinging about it because you've got the benefits as well as the not so nice things like staying on your own and things like that. But sometimes it's alright having a night of peace.
Do you think you have to be a special kind of woman though to be a footballer's wife?
I think it depends who you marry. Depends which footballer it is. No, I think it's okay.
Did you like football before you met Kev, and have you sort of grown to...
Yeah, that's how I met him, because I used to play football. I played for a youth club where he played as well, and I played on the girls' team. That's how we met. I was only 15, so I've never been able to escape.
What position did you play?
In the centre. I was better than him.
Do you like to go to games then and watch them when you can? Is it?
Yeah, well, I go to most of them. Go to most games. I don't go to the away games for obvious reasons, taking the kids with us, but go to the home games because there's good facilities with the creche there.
When you see him go down, maybe injured, is that a nasty moment for yourself?
But I can tell when he's kidding. Yeah, it is. But touch wood, he hasn't had any bad ones recently. A couple of injuries that did put him out of the game for a little while when he was a lot younger. But it's a bit unnerving when they lay down and stay down.
Is he hard to live with when they lose?
No. Not initially. Mind you, I think it's probably me, he wouldn't dare whinge. He's a bad loser, but it doesn't take it out on the family, not when he comes home or anything, you know, he's not like that. But he'll talk about it a lot, all the time, and he's restless, he won't be able to go to bed early or sleep or anything like that. For a while he'd watch the video and things like that.
Does he get after a good performance?
Oh yeah, even when they go to sleep, the legs are going and everything. You should put him in a spare bed when he comes in from a match, because that must be the adrenaline, I suppose, all their muscles and things.
Well, I think it's rare that an individual goes throughout the whole season without injuries. The fact that you're training, you're playing all these games, and the physical contact of the game is so much so that you know, you're going to miss a game or two during the season.
Is the game a lot quicker now?
The game is quicker, I think, because there's so many more faster players playing. It's more of an athletic game. But, I mean, you're still seeing some great skill in times and good passing movement.
Are there more hard men in the game now?
Nah, hard men is people going to a tackle, 75-25 tackle or an 80-20 tackle and come out with the ball. It's not a case of punching people or elbowing people. That's what I would class as being hard.
On the field, when you get a knock, what's the first emotion going through your mind?
Well, your first emotion is, can I carry on, really? How bad is it? And I think most players, most English players will initially feel that. Oh, you know, they'll have the heart to say, well, I'll carry on. If it's too bad, they'll put their hands up and they'll come off. The initial pain, there's a reaction where there's instant pain. But I think with your blood's hot, your adrenaline's pumping, you're on the game, you're concentrating on the game, you can block out that pain for perhaps another hour. But it's the next day when your body's cooled down and you think, oh, how did I go through it? You're in treatment and you're missing the following game.
Can you do more damage by trying to run off an
injury? Of course you can, yeah. But I think that's being a pro, being guided by the physio.
All players need to trust you, really, because if they don't trust you and you ask them to do things, and if they think it's making it worse or they don't see themselves getting better, then it does become a problem. And if they don't trust you, then maybe they're going to look elsewhere for help.
Well, I think he assesses what damage has been done, what further damage could be done if you stay on, and really how would it balance the team, whether it's worth bringing somebody on, how it would affect the team, and usually gives a report back to the manager to see what's happening. If it's not too bad, he'd probably let you stay on and say, well, if it's hurting you too much, put your hands up, we'll drag you off. Well, nowadays, with the spate of head injuries and swallowing the tongue, obviously you're very concerned, and it's great to see referees, no matter where the ball, if someone's poleaxed or got hit in the head during a game, they stop the game immediately.
It's strange, really. What you do, you get out of the dugout, but what you're relying on other players to tell him that someone has gone down injured.
Put it out! Put it out! Put it out! Put it out!
Did put it out?
You have to wait, otherwise you're in trouble with the FA. But if it's a head injury, I think most referees are very good and they will let you on straight away. If it's an ankle injury or a knee injury, even if someone's broken the leg, I mean, 10 seconds or 20 seconds is not going to make a big deal of difference. But certainly with a head injury, it can.
For someone like me who's been part of it for like 15 years, every time I am injured, it's very frustrating because you're not in a hotel, in the training ground, in the banter, the highs and lows, adrenaline pumping. So it's very frustrating. You just got to set your mind on to getting fit and trying to get back in the side. It's the biggest bust to get back in the team. The first team, I mean, I touch wood, I've not had a lot of time in the reserves, but you want to be there in the big stadiums against the better players, with the best team that's out there, playing good football and scoring goals and getting results. It's fantastic at the moment. Not having been in a club which expects so much. This club expects so much. It gets another 5-10% out of players mentally. Having been at Coventry and West Brom, even though good times, but the whole atmosphere of Villa breeds is history and success. And there's a whiff of it in this club at the moment. If you're paying millions and millions of pounds for players, you want to keep them at tip-top condition. You don't want them half fit to go out there. You just need that split second when you're too slow, you're not too time. Injury, £1 million players. You know, you don't want £1 million player on the bench, do you? If you feel you want to work on your passing, your heading, your physical strength, it's up to you. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all up to you to have the right attitude, to spend more time with the trainers, with other players, to get that potential out of you. And you find that even the years I've been in, you find players who've come in, done very well for 1, 2, 3 years, and then they get a patch where it's really, really bad. And that's when you're a pro. It's not when things are going well. It's how do you handle it when things are going bad, when it is raining, the gaffer's on your back and you get criticism from the press, you can't walk down the road, people are giving you verbals. That's when you're a pro. It's a case of getting that perspective and keeping your feet on the ground and work hard at the game. Listen. Everybody's got advice, but you know, take on board what you feel is right for you. No one can say, well, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to take it all on board, but what you feel is right for you as an individual, which is good, because you always strive to get other level. You know, you see that the senior pros getting their hotels and the little days off and the little perks, and it gives you that drive to be there. You need that. Everybody was equal. Maybe you wouldn't have that driving system, and you got another driving system at the club, which is pressure on position. You need it. You can't have just 14 players without no pressure on a position. You get so much complacency, it'd be unreal. There have been loads of times when the club has brought other strikers. Of course, there's more pressure on your players. You've got to go out there and play well, which all ends up to the club you're playing well getting benefit, the main benefit, and that players out there playing well. But first and foremost, you've got to retain love for the game. You know, well, if you don't retain that love for the game through the pain, the injuries, through the criticisms, through the rain, through the snow, you're going to just forget about it. So it's great when professionals are playing that level with all the pain, with all the injuries they've gone. Mentally, they've got a great love and enthusiasm for the game.
Chairman in it, please?
No, he hasn't come in yet, Stephen. He's doing it about 11:30.
Right, do you mind giving me a call when you come down?
Yeah, fine.
Soon, that's
yeah,
all.
okay.
Thanks a lot. Late 50s, 58, 59, my father used to bring me down initially to reserve matches, and at the age of 11 he bought me my first season ticket in the Trinity Road stand for passing my 11 plus. Well, I left school, I went to Coleshill Grammar School. I left there, went into accountancy and was totally bored, so I thought to myself, what would I really like to do? Being such a football and especially Aston Villa fan, I wrote to the club, wrote to Alan Bennett, who was the secretary then, and he wrote back initially saying that there were no openings at that time, but he'd bear me in mind, which he did, and 6 months later he wrote and I came down for an interview and got the job as assistant secretary in those days. I always remember the first day I started, bearing in mind I was starting then at a club where a week before they were my heroes, people like Ian Ross, George Curtis, Bruce Rioch, all these sort of players. It's very strange the first couple of months being in their company really, because I'm sort of in awe of them.
What's your relationship with the chairman?
Well, we work very closely, as we have to. The chairman, the manager and myself have obviously daily contact and discuss matters appertaining to the club every day. The chairman, as you know, is in every day.
From 82, I accepted that it had to be full-time, and my colleague directors asked me to take it on full-time, so I resigned my chair from my several companies which I had at the time, and put other people in position, particularly my eldest son, which means that I'd give all my time to Aston Villa.
It's a pleasure to come to work every morning. I mean, I'm very fortunate in that I don't wake up thinking, oh dear, I've got to go to work. It's still a pleasure after 21 years to come to work.
Being commercial manager of my club possibly means a little bit more than it does to some other commercial managers around the country. Aston Villa's my club, and I've been a supporter for a great many years and basically come up through the ranks for 14 years. He has to be responsible for the public relations sides of the club, also the fundraising, and possibly the best way you can judge a commercial manager is what revenue is actually brought in by the football club, other than through gate receipts. Last season the club's revenue overall was 7.2 million. 50% of that was raised through commercial activities, 3.6 million. Now if you look back to 1979, The revenue then was only 360,000, so it's increased since that time 1,000-fold. Dependent upon who you're playing, I mean the likes of Liverpool and Manchester United are obviously far easier to sell than some of the lesser known teams in the Premier League. On a match day we try and sell various types of hospitality, from match ball sponsorship, which may be hospitality for 4 people, to boardroom sponsorships, McGregor Suite sponsorships, to a full match day sponsorship where a company can have the opportunity of entertaining 100 clients and on the back of that take advantage of advertising facilities around the stadium, such as programme advertising, electronic scoreboard, ground advertising boards and promotions on the pitch prior to the game as well.
Once we built the Whitton Lane stand and converted the ground into a 40,000 all-seater stadium, it'll certainly be one of the best grounds within the Premier League, if not within Europe, and a ground for us all to be proud of.
There's only one thing that really matters to me, and that is the success of Aston Villa. I live, dream, eat and sleep Aston Villa. And you ask my wife, she suffers.
Well, it certainly cheers the children up. We've had a classical example of one child being absolutely thunderstruck, speechless, and couldn't believe his eyes. I think they might feel different because at least they've come to see them while they were in hospital. I think it does them the world of good.
I just can't believe that you've gone.
Can't believe we've come here.
No. Never thought I'd see you like this, ever.
There you go, you never know, eh? Being the physical game it is, we can't be training all day. So we only train for about 2 to 3 hours a day. And then once or twice a week we'll visit a hospital or visit somebody else, presentation or whatever. To see the little guy's face there is it's unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, he sort of virtually broke down. He was so pleased to have a visit from people he looks up to. Obviously, he sees us on the television and hears us on the radio. We're normally beyond his reach, so he thinks. But just to see us walk through the door made him so happy. We were talking about football. I was talking about when he was playing and when he will be playing again for his school. And he was just to see his eyes light up to think that I was talking to him about his game of football, and really, as much as anything, he wants to be talking to me about football.
As Nigel said, it's good to come out and see the kids, because they're the future, and as long as we come out and see the kids, keep them happy, because they give so much money to the club, like come to see us, and it's good we can take the time to come out and see them.
Okay.
Bye. Okay, thanks, boys. Thank you. Bye.
They hear you. Sometimes they listen to you and just turn a deaf ear. Depends what you're saying to them. If you're saying well played, they'll, oh yeah, I'm playing well. But if you're giving them a rollicking again, it could be a deaf one. I can't hear. There's 30,000 people there.
Go! Smash it! Get it in there, man! Stand! Let this shoot! Hey, Gary, have a go! Have a go!
We try to get as much instruction from the bench as we possibly can. More to help them in terms of what we think's going wrong with the way we're playing, or if we're not passing it enough, or we're not taking up good positions. We try to get those things through to the players. And as I say, we've got a fairly good players who try to listen to what you're saying and adapt really to the game as it's being played.
Are you front two going to hold something in a minute? What a chance! Go on, Riggo, son! Easy! Go on, Yorgie! Go on! Go on, don't foul, Stan. Well played, Stan. Unlucky, Stan, unlucky.
Wait!
Brilliant, linesman. Magnificent decision for 2 yards. Well done.
it's a different game from the bench to what it is at the top. I mean, you do get a better view sat in the stand. The biggest problem is you can't be involved if you're sat in the stand. You can't communicate with the players. But we both write down notes which we think apply to the half and what we think is necessary to tell the players at half time. And then we'll put those points across, and they might argue and they might not. And then we'll discuss it then. And invariably the gaffer wins. So we take it from there. First time I ever met him was I'd signed from Chelsea, and I went up to Oxford by train, and I went up to the dressing rooms, which was then a pokey little dressing room up in the top corner at the Manor, and he was in there, a superstar poser even at Oxford, but he was all right. He's always been a very good friend of mine.
Yeah, well, it's a lot better than work. But I mean, I think it depends on your mentality. I mean, I've seen certain people in the game, very big names, that become very much, can get right screwed up with it. I mean, my philosophy is that, I want to enjoy it. Obviously, work hard and be successful, but, I want to enjoy that.
The Tank. Yeah, he always thought he was a great player. He didn't like the nickname. Still doesn't like the nickname, I think, because he used to think he was a very, very good player. He wasn't a bad player. His brother was a much better player. I like to say to players, that you're in my book the greatest occupation you can have. Don't waste it. Make the most of it, and if you have an ability, go and demonstrate that ability. Yeah, he was always a good leader. He's the best captain I've ever played with. He always had leadership qualities. He was always going to be whatever he went into, if it was business or whatever, he was going to be in charge. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. I mean, sometimes it does my head in, thinking, trying to get players to do certain things. But I've always given players license. I've never really put too many restrictions on them. If they are, if they're so-called flair players, I say go on. Your ability is to demonstrate that flair, but in a productive way. I mean, the object of any football match is winning it. His strengths, man management, no danger. I don't think there's any danger in that. I mean, obviously he's very good tactically, but man management is his main strength. He knows how to get the best out of players. You get on about England managers. I think he would make a great England manager, because that type of people, the people who he wants to play are good players, and he wants them to play well, and he encourages them to play. And I think that is, without any shadow of a doubt, his main strength.
Is that one of the arts of your management, delegation? Because you seem to let the staff as well get on with their jobs. Yeah, well, I mean, there's no point in having people in jobs if you don't let them do it. I mean, I keep my finger on the button on everything everybody's doing, but at the end of the day, that's no good having anybody in, say, to do a specific job and then trying to do the job yourself. Any problems we thrash out together. I mean, football management's a very lonely job. Anybody who thinks they get a lot of money and they don't do anything are way off beam. It's a very lonely job, and if you're in there by yourself and you've got nobody to bounce ideas off, it's very difficult. And I think an assistant manager's job, not only here but anywhere, is basically to help the manager in any way they can, but also talk through different points and keep the club going on different things, because it's impossible for the manager to have his finger on everything, where two of you have got a good chance of getting everything done. How do you know when you're buying players that they will blend? Is it judgment, or how much is luck? And well, I suppose you'd have to say it's judgment, but you don't have to need a lot of luck with that judgment. I mean, certain players can fit into certain situations. Sometimes you get a big club. There's what we call, certain players can't fit into big clubs. It becomes too big for them. You can take players from a lower division club, and the scene is too much for them. Whereas other people just naturally respond to that. I mean, I don't think any of the players have any problems coming to talk to us. I think this is possibly what we've brought to the club. I don't know what it was like before, but the players have got no problem talking to us. As I said, if they've got a problem, they'll come in. If they think something wrong with the way
the way we're playing will come in and talk about it, which is what we need, because we need to bounce ideas off them as well to get what their ideas of the game's got to be. Because it's no good us saying, well, this is what you've got to do, when they don't want to do that.
I think it's obviously one of the big clubs. It's a very well appointed club, got a super ground, super facilities, and hopefully we'll get the team to match.
Does that take a long time, getting the team to match, or are you there now?
I hope not, because I might not be here if it does.
He's funny, he likes to laugh, he likes to sing, he likes to have a good time. And that reflects onto the players. So the club wants to have a good time. And if you're winning, everybody will have a good time.
Social side, Ron, I mean, do you encourage the wives to get involved and all the rest of it, and parties at Christmas and all that kind of thing? Is that important?
Well, I think you do those things. I thought when you said the wives involved, I thought, do you want them to play? I have enough problem with it. Sometimes I think it is the wives playing, but I think it's that tends to be more of a thing for the players. I mean, that's they would stick together more.
With everyone, with fans, we always disagree. We have passions about football. We have arguments. Does that happen behind the scenes at Villa as well? Do you toss arguments about?
No. Never.
In the case of the manager and I, we some fair old, I wouldn't say rows, but we've raised voices, and I wouldn't want it any other way. And, he has a go at me and I have a go at him, but that's good. That's good for the club, because the eventual result is we mutually agree. There's never been a situation where eventually we haven't agreed to go along that path, and not necessarily a bowing of the head on his part or a bowing of the head of my part. Perhaps there's a bit of both.
In an emotive, passionate world like football, it's inevitable that arguments will occur, or differences of opinion, be it with boards and managers or players and managers. It's always the poor old manager that gets the flack, but there you go.
I would imagine you'd like that. I mean, you do like banter, don't you?
I'll stand my corner, I don't do bad.
Well, we disagree, but I mean, at the end of the day, we'll disagree on one or two things, but at the end of the day, if he's the manager, so we go his way, because that's the way it's got to be.
The club itself, I think you said yourself, you always thought deep down inside that one day you'd be back as a manager.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the occasion has probably maybe 2 or 3 times has arisen. Circumstances prevented it, but I've always felt that one day I'd come back here and manage.
Why was that? Why did you think that?
I don't know. I suppose because I've spent an awful long time in this area. I've been linked with the job many, many times. And maybe, it might just be the best man for the job.
I'd be excited all day. I'll be telling all my friends that I'm going down the Villa tonight.
Can I see you tonight, Kai? Yeah, see you tonight!
And I'll come out of school and try and get home as quick as I could. Then I'd get home. My mum would tell me to do my homework. I'd do that. And then I would get ready. Most of the time I wear what I'm wearing now, my jeans and my Villa top. And some of the times I wear my windshooter. And then when my dad comes in, he'll get ready. And then a lot of the time we go down and meet our friends there, down at Villa Park.
See you later. Come on.
Mustn't forget them. The lads would have me.
Right, let's get on to tonight's football match. This evening, the game is the Coca-Cola Cup. Are there any officers from D Division who have not performed duty at Villa Park before? Excellent. I am aware that most of you do these matches week in, week out. You hear the same instructions and briefing.
There we go.
There's no other way I can go till I get to the lights. This could be a club fine. Didn't realise that roadworks are on this side. Fancy paying me fine for me?
You can actually make the bits and pieces that go in the... Oh, that's marvellous. The only thing that I'd like to mention is that I never want to play in the Leyland Deaf competition. As you probably know. The little pleasant duty I've got is to present to you, just as a memento for the occasion, it's the senior cartoonist from Birmingham Mail, Norman Hood.
Yo, just getting this famous right leg in. The most famous right leg in football. Isn't it often you see Macron here, I tell you?
Yeah, it's true, it's true.
Is that right, son?
Cheers, Jim.
I've already picked the team. That's as far as I'm going. Ah, man. You're going to get 18 yards.
Which one are you using? And catch him and go questions. 50 yards.
Shut up.
I'm telling you. Hang on.
Ozzy should be doing it. Yeah.
Serious business, game on, match conditions. So you go around and get the game. What's it? Who's your referee again?
I put my name as 12 fast. Nice to meet you. My favourite bull level. I've seen you before. Yeah, that's right. Yes, thank you very much. Yes. That's right, I've got that. What's your name? Roy. Roy. Nice to meet you, Roy. Do you come regularly? Yeah, nice to meet you. Do you come very often?